You need to hear this if you're a political enthusiast. The year is 2043. The world watches in stunned silence. Millions have vanished without a trace. Mothers turn from their stoves to find empty cribs. Cars swerve on highways. Drivers gone. Planes plummet from the sky. Their passengers vanished into thin air. The world is in chaos. The faithful, the chosen, the righteous, the saints have been called home in an event known as the pickup, where the Anunnaki and other races have picked up their children in between the years of 2003 to 2030. Late pickup by 2043 for those who repent. This is the story of how Baron William Trump, also known as Supreme Chancellor, is the main leader who controls the world after the pickup. They are the fortunate souls, spared from the horrors to come. Left behind are the doubters, the wicked, the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars, and the unsuspecting, those who scoffed at prophecies, those who clung to worldly possessions, those who never opened their hearts to the divine love. Little do they know, they are about to face the darkest chapter in human history. To be left behind and go through the tribulation. Their loved ones gone. They just disappeared in the twinkling of an eye. They are left to fend for themselves in this world. The reset for this reality won't happen until the year 2150. Baron Trump was born in Manhattan, New York City, under a blood moon, a sign, some whispered, of the darkness he would bring. The lunar eclipse on March 20th, 2006 was a total lunar eclipse, also known as a blood moon. During a total lunar eclipse, the moon appears red or ruddy brown because Earth's atmosphere scatters blue light. Keep in mind, the Dakota House is in Manhattan. The Dakota, also known as the Dakota Apartments, is a cooperative apartment building at 1 West 72nd Street on the Upper West Side of Manhattan in New York City, United States. Even as a child, he possessed an unnerving intelligence, for Baron was no ordinary child. As Baron grew, so did his power. The world celebrated his brilliance, his charisma, his potential. And when the pickup came, Baron Trump saw his opportunity. March 20th, 2006, a date forever etched in darkness. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Baron William Trump entered the world. His birth, coinciding with a rare blood moon, sent chills down spines. Even as an infant, Baron possessed an unsettling aura. His eyes, piercing stone blue, seemed to hold ancient secrets. Nurses whispered of strange occurrences in the nursery. His parents, the 45th U.S. President Donald Trump, and his third wife Melania, a former fashion model, remained oblivious. He was raised in New York City on Fifth Ave at Trump Tower and attended Columbia Grammar and Preparatory School. Donald saw in Baron an heir to his empire. Melania saw in Baron a means to secure her own position. But Baron was more than just a son. He was a carefully crafted weapon, a genetic masterpiece. You ever wonder why Baron Trump is so tall? Some say he's 6'7", some say he's 6.9, but a Nephilim nonetheless. Baron Trump's birth was the end product of an extensive genetic engineering artificial insemination project, known as Project People's Victory. His mother, Melania Trump, or Melania Naus, was unwittingly convinced by Satanists to become the mother of a child who, they assured her, would change the face of the earth. Satan himself agreed to help her make this possible if only she submitted to him. Melania stays with her husband Donald until the baby is born, insisting that her son keep the strong and noble Trump name. As Baron grew, so did the unsettling feeling that surrounded him. He observed with piercing stone blue eyes, absorbing knowledge like a sponge. He devoured books on history, philosophy, and the occult. His tutors were both impressed and disturbed by him. Even at a young age, he understood the power of fear and control. His bedroom became a shrine to unseen forces. Those who knew the ancient prophecies watched in growing horror. The serpent was already coiled within the cradle, waiting to strike. Through his parents, Baron Trump possessed a very unique bloodline, dating far back to ancient Rome, so he could actually claim to be of Roman descent. This is partly in keeping with the early Christian belief that the Antichrist would come in the form of a Roman emperor, in addition to the current premillennialist Christian view that the Antichrist shall emerge from a new Roman Empire, in this case being the American or European Union. His father's last name, Trump, comes from English and German origin, a German surname, possibly from a word for drum, an English surname derived from Old French trompior, trumpeter, or maker of trumpets. In the Bible, when the trumpet is blown, referred to the moment when a trumpet sound announces a significant event, most commonly signifying the resurrection of the dead at the second coming of Yeshua, Jesus Christ, as described in passages like 1 Corinthians 15:52 and 1 Thessalonians 4:16. Essentially, it symbolizes the start of the final judgment day. Baron W. Trump is extremely prideful. Being overly prideful means having an exaggerated sense of self-importance and looking down on others. It can also be described as being arrogant, disdainful, or overconfident. According to biblical interpretations, Lucifer was extremely prideful to the point where his excessive self-importance and desire to be equal to God led to his rebellion and fall from heaven. His pride is often considered the root cause of his downfall and is seen as the ultimate sin in many religious contexts. Key points about Lucifer's pride. Self-admiration. Lucifer was so impressed with his own beauty, intelligence, and power that he believed he deserved the same glory and honor as God. Desire for power. His pride manifested in a desire to rule and be worshipped, leading him to challenge God's authority. Arrogance. Lucifer became arrogant, believing he was superior to others, and even questioning God's decisions. Baron's education was a testament to his parents' ambition and their utter lack of awareness. He was enrolled in the most prestigious schools, surrounded by the children of the elite. But his true education took place in the shadows, guided by unseen hands with their own sinister agenda. He was taught the art of manipulation, the ruthless calculus of power, the seductive allure of absolute control. His mentors, drawn from the darkest corners of society, recognized in Baron a kindred spirit, a vessel of immense power waiting to be unleashed. They honed his intellect into a weapon, sharpened his charisma into a blade, and nurtured the darkness that festered within his heart. Baron excelled in his studies, mastering subjects that challenged even the brightest minds. He graduated from NYU Stern School of Business in a mere 2 years. His intellect a source of both awe and fear. The world, captivated by his brilliance and charm, celebrated him as a prodigy, a visionary, a leader for a new generation. But behind the facade of the brilliant young businessman, a monster was taking shape. Baron's compassion withered, replaced by a chilling indifference to human suffering. His empathy evaporated, leaving behind a void filled only with ambition, and a thirst for power that knew no bounds. The world, oblivious to the danger lurking beneath the surface, continued to shower him with praise and accolades, unwittingly paving the path for their own destruction. In the chaotic aftermath of the pickup, the world desperately sought a beacon of hope, a leader to guide them through the darkness. Baron Trump, with his carefully cultivated image of youthful idealism and sharp intellect, saw his opportunity. He stepped onto the world stage, not as the brash, impulsive heir to a controversial legacy, but as a calm, collected, and charismatic statesman. His first foray into the political arena was a carefully orchestrated masterpiece. He addressed the United Nations, his words a balm to a world reeling from loss and uncertainty. He spoke of unity, of cooperation, of a shared future free from the divisions of the past. His eloquence was captivating, his message resonating with a global audience hungry for reassurance. Media outlets, both traditional and digital, couldn't get enough of him. He was hailed as a unifying force, a voice of reason, a leader for a new age. His face, youthful yet determined, graced magazine covers worldwide. The name Baron Trump was on everyone's lips, a symbol of hope in a world teetering on the brink. But beneath the polished veneer, the carefully crafted persona, lay a chilling ambition. Baron, schooled in the art of manipulation by masters of deceit, understood the power of image, the intoxicating allure of charisma. He played his part to perfection, feeding the world the narrative it craved, all the while consolidating his power, tightening his grip on the levers of influence. The United Nations, weakened by internal strife and the exodus of numerous member states in the wake of the pickup, found itself at a crossroads. Many saw in Baron Trump the solution to their woes, a figurehead with the charisma and global appeal to restore the organization's credibility and usher in an era of unprecedented cooperation. Trump, sensing an opportunity to further his own agenda, played the role of reluctant savior to perfection. He initially demurred, citing his youth and lack of experience, but ultimately allowed himself to be persuaded to accept the nomination for Secretary General of the United Nations. His election was a foregone conclusion. The world, desperate for leadership, embraced him wholeheartedly. From the halls of the United Nations to the streets of war-torn nations, Baron Trump's name was met with a mixture of adulation and fervent hope. He was, in the eyes of many, the only one who could unite a fractured world. But Baron's vision for the United Nations was far from the utopian ideal envisioned by its founders. He saw the organization not as a forum for diplomacy and cooperation, but as a tool, a weapon to be wielded in his quest for absolute power. The world, blinded by its own desperation, failed to see the darkness lurking beneath the surface, the chilling ambition masked by a carefully constructed facade of benevolence. As Secretary General, Baron moved swiftly and decisively, consolidating his power within the United Nations and ruthlessly silencing any dissent. He dissolved existing committees, reshuffled departments, and installed his own hand-picked loyalists in key positions. The organization, once a bastion of diplomacy, transformed into a well-oiled machine designed to enforce his will. His next move sent shockwaves through the world. He announced the formation of the global community, a new world order built on the ashes of the old. National borders, he argued, were relics of a bygone era, obstacles to true unity and progress. The world, he proclaimed, needed a single, unified government to face the challenges of the future. The world, still reeling from the pickup and the arrival of the Anunnaki, offered little resistance. Many, swayed by Baron's charisma and the promise of a brighter future, embraced the global community as the answer to their prayers. Others, sensing the insidious nature of this new world order, were silenced, their voices drowned out by the chorus of approval. Baron, with his cunning intellect and ruthless efficiency, had anticipated every challenge, neutralized every threat. He had, in the space of a few short years, achieved what had eluded tyrants and dictators for centuries: the establishment of a global empire with himself at its head. With the global community firmly established, Baron shed the last vestiges of his carefully crafted persona. The charming, idealistic statesman vanished, replaced by a cold, calculating tyrant, his eyes burning with an unholy light. The world watched in horror as the mask of benevolence slipped, revealing the true face of evil. Those who had dared to oppose him, who had seen through his facade of peace and unity, were the first to be silenced. Journalists, politicians, religious leaders, anyone who dared to question his authority or challenge his vision was swiftly and brutally eliminated. Fear, the ultimate weapon, became the defining characteristic of the global community. Baron, no longer content with mere political power, declared himself supreme potentate of the global community. His word law, his will absolute. He demanded complete obedience, unyielding loyalty, and unquestioning worship. The world, once a tapestry of diverse cultures, beliefs, and ideologies, was being forcibly reshaped in his image. The stage was set, the pieces in place. Baron Trump, the puppet master, had manipulated his way to the pinnacle of power, his true nature revealed, his destiny about to unfold. The world, caught in the grip of a malevolent force it barely understood, could only watch in horror as the reign of the Antichrist began. The anticipation was palpable. The world held its breath as Baron Trump, the newly minted Secretary General of the United Nations, approached the podium. He exuded an aura of quiet confidence, his piercing blue eyes holding the gaze of the assembled dignitaries. His voice, amplified by the state-of-the-art sound system, resonated through the vast hall. He spoke of the challenges facing humanity, the aftermath of the pickup, and the looming threat of global instability. He captivated the audience with his eloquence, his mastery of language surpassing even the most seasoned diplomats. It was a message of hope, of a new world order rising from the ashes of the old. Baron Trump, once a puppet, became the puppet master, eliminating his handlers in a swift, calculated move. Baron Trump, now supreme potentate, purged rivals and established a surveillance state, his grip on power absolute. He spoke of order and obedience, demanding a title that reflected his authority. In a grand ceremony, he was declared supreme potentate. His reign, one of unprecedented power and darkness. After his assassination, Baron Trump rose on the third day, declaring himself a god. His eyes glowed with an unnatural intensity, his voice thunderous. The Antichrist had risen, and his reign of terror was far from over. Baron Trump demanded loyalty through the mark, a symbol of allegiance. The mark was the new Neuralink brain chip rollout during his dad time in 2025. It first started with the national ID, or real ID. Those without it were denied basic necessities, their lives forfeit. He would then establish Trumpianism as the only legal religion on earth, and following the events in the book of Revelation, decreed that all were required to bear a mark, the biblical mark of the beast, upon their foreheads or hands, signifying their loyalty to him and the global community in order to participate in any economic exchange, including purchasing and selling. At last, he gave out the decree that those who did not accept the mark, along with any who refused to proclaim him as God, would be beheaded by a guillotine known as a loyalty enforcement facilitator. In a final surge for complete domination of Earth, Trump created the One World Army, composed of all GC military presence on the planet. Their mission was to destroy the remnant stronghold of Petra and take over the city of Jerusalem as the world's new capital after the supernatural destruction of New Babylon. He also gathered the armies of the world at the Valley of Armageddon for the battle with Jesus Christ and his army. The world was suffocated by his presence, his power inescapable. Resistance was met with brutal retribution. The guillotine, a symbol of terror, claimed the lives of dissenters. Hope was a dangerous indulgence in Baron Trump's New World Order. Barons and forces, fanatically loyal, patrolled the streets, raiding homes and indoctrinating the young. Fear became the glue holding society together. People informed on each other to survive in Baron Trump's nightmare world. In the Valley of Armageddon, the final battle loomed. Baron's war machine faced the determined resistance. This was a battle for humanity's soul, a stand against darkness. The heavens opened, revealing Jesus Christ. The global community's soldiers faltered, their reality crumbling. Divine judgment vanquished the forces of darkness, promising a new dawn. The Antichrist is a figure in the Bible who is prophesied to oppose Jesus Christ and claim to be the Savior before the second coming. The term appears in the New Testament in the letters of John and is also associated with other figures in the Bible. Where the term appears in the Bible: 1 John 2:18, 2:22, and 4:3. The term Antichrist appears in these verses, where it is defined as someone who denies Jesus as the Christ. 2 John 1:7. The term Antichrist appears in this verse, where it is defined as someone who does not confess Jesus as coming in the flesh. Other figures associated with the Antichrist: the little horn, a figure in Daniel's final vision; the man of sin, a figure in Paul the Apostle's second epistle to the Thessalonians; the beast of the sea, a figure in the book of Revelation. What the Antichrist is said to do: deny the existence of heaven and hell, encourage people to give in to temptations, reign terribly in the period prior to the Last Judgment. In the most sustained account of the Antichrist's appearance, 2 Thessalonians 2:1-12, he is called the man of sin and son of perdition. He will come at a time of a general apostasy, deceive people with signs and wonders, sit in the temple of God, and claim to be God himself. The Antichrist of Revelation, also called the beast, is the one who wants to be exalted and worshipped by man as God. From the beginning, Satan's desire has been to be like God and to take all God creates for good and pervert it, to draw people away from God and to himself. And as for the 10 horns coming from it, from this kingdom, 10 kings will arise, and another will arise after them, and he will be different from the earlier ones, and he will subdue 3 kings. And he will speak words against the Most High, and he will wear out the holy ones of the Most High. And he will attempt to change times and law, and they will be given into his hand for a time, and 2 times, and half a time. For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and will produce great signs and wonders in order to deceive, if possible, even the elect. Do not let anyone deceive you in any way, for that day will not come unless the rebellion comes first, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and who exalts himself over every so-called God or object of worship, so that he sits down in the temple of God, proclaiming that he himself is God. Do you not remember that while we were still with you, we were saying these things to you? And you know that which restrains him now, so that he will be revealed in his own. Baron Trump slowly gains complete control over the entire world during the course of the years, first by solidifying his position as the Secretary General of the United Nations, then as the far more powerful supreme potentate of the newly created global community, and finally as the self-proclaimed God of Trumpianism, which replaces the enigma Babylon One World Faith. As the Antichrist, Baron Trump is directly responsible for the terrifying events of the 7-year-long tribulation and the ultimate battle of Armageddon that occurred at its conclusion. The glorious figure called the Lamb stood triumphant over the ravaged battlefield. The global community's war machine lay in ruins. At the feet of the true Savior knelt Baron Trump, his face ashen. The air crackled with the weight of judgment. The resistance fighters watched in silence as the Lamb addressed the fallen Antichrist. His voice resonated with the power of creation itself. Baron, you allowed the darkness to twist your heart. You sought power, but found only emptiness. As the Lamb spoke the final words of judgment, a blinding light enveloped Baron Trump. When it faded, he was gone, cast into the abyss, his reign of terror at an end. A sound of hope, of rebirth, of a world awakening from a nightmare. The resistance fighters, their eyes drawn to the Lamb, who stood radiant amidst the ruins. The world, cleansed by fire and reborn in divine grace, was free to embrace its true destiny.
What's the like? What's your whole idea on the whole Kanye West thing and Donald Trump thing, and not only that, because we talking about Donald Trump, and we know the trumpet is being blown. And get into the revelations. Break that down for me. I think I asked you about that before too.
Yeah, when you notice when he went to Trump Tower, Kanye West came downstairs with Donald Trump. He said, "I knew this guy for a long time." Let me say he had known him for a long time. He said, "Very good guy."
Yeah.
Right. But the thing is, notice it was after Kanye West his tirade against Beyonce and Jay-Z. Remember, he said, "Jay, call me, man. Call me, man. Come on, bro. We can work this out." What was Kanye West talking about? Because remember, with Jay-Z and Beyonce, these people backed and supported Hillary Clinton. Yep. But it came out after Kanye West came out of their hospital. They was in, he was mentally disturbed. Mm-hmm. He came out and visited Donald Trump. So something's going on behind the scenes. Here's what's going on behind the scenes. One, my research concluded that Donald, first of all, is a Scottish name. Remember, his mother is from Scotland, right? So she wasn't born in America, she was born in Scotland. And she's pretty much connected, right, to older people who praise the Queen of England. And you'll find a lot of people in Scotland, since it is like the region of the British Isles, this is who they pretty much praise. But the name Donald is Doonval, right, which signifies someone who is a world ruler, right, Doonval, right, and Trump is comes with triumph. That's one of the origins, right? But the Trump card and Trump Casino, of course, that's a name that a lot of people try to connect to the people who Trump people, right, in a card game. However, no, It's really a German name. Remember, Trump is a German name, and it comes from his grandfather that passed it down to Richard Trump, right? For Friedrich, which is Frederick, right? So Friedrich Trump, right, his grandfather passed his name on to his father, Frederick Trump. This is the same man who got, and I got the record to show it. In 1927, he was arrested in a Klan rally in Queens, New York. This is some of the connections between the Trump and the Klan, which people don't know. They don't know. All right?
Yeah.
So we can verify all this information. I got the records to prove it. Those who want to argue, you ain't gonna argue once I show it to you because I got the actual clipping from the newspaper. So this is some things behind the scenes that people don't know. I'm not saying anything bad about Trump per se. No, he's not a Klan member, but his father was arrested at a Klan rally. Frederick Trump. All right? Back. So the whole thing about the Trump or the trumpet and the last days, right? Well, a lot of people are trying to connect him to the 45th president, in which he is now president-elect and will be inaugurated on January 20th. But we all know 4 + 5 = 9, right?
Yeah.
We already know what the 9 is the symbolic of, and 1 through 9. I'm not saying this is the end of the world, but people play numerology things. I'm not saying it. This is what the numerology says, right? That since they have the Pope in office now, who is a Jesuit, and all the numbers added to 13. And still, I got this in my book to show you all these numbers that added to Cardinal Bergoglio's name when he was elected, right? All 13. But one is the 13 number, which is the Pope. The other is 9 for Donald Trump. They come in on 13 and 9. That's numerology. That's what they say. I can go deeper than that. I don't want to get into numerology, but the Trump and the trumpet, well, they can try to say that, but Trump is actually mentioned the word triumphant. Right?
Yep.
So that means world ruler by way of triumph. And that's what his name means. And if you look closely at what Donald Trump said, right, several weeks ago, he said, no, we are not going to accept a global currency in the euro dollar. He said, we're not doing that. He said, we want our dollar. So this man is not going to even follow what the European Common Market is saying. Look, the euro dollar has failed. And this is predicted in the prophecies of Daniel too, because these 10 toes would be iron mixed with clay. That's what they are. This is why the European Common Market is not cohesive. It was predicted in prophecy to be that way. So any Christian Bible scholar would know that, instead of Judeo-Christian Bible theology. So you got to look at some of this information and look at it realistically as to what's going on. This is all planned. The whole thing is planned. But Donald Trump, yes, he was meant for him to win. In fact, as we discussed the other night, the whole situation concerning him getting into office and how it went down, I think we talked about it, like how in the film True Lies, how even in that film, when Schwarzenegger, the guy who was replacing Donald Trump in The Apprentice, said, remember, you're fired, and shot the missile off and shot the terrorists into the other helicopter where the terrorists went?
Yeah, I remember you telling me about
the terrorists supposedly?
Yeah.
Same thing. Donald Trump said you're fired later, years later in The Apprentice, the same way Schwarzenegger said it. But he's the one chosen by Donald Trump to replace him in the TV show The Apprentice. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, yep.
It's weird. So research, all this is what you call synchronicity. This is other things that researchers like Peter Moon pull out. Right? How things are based on synchronistic patterns. And these are the people that toy with time, like the Philadelphia experiment back in 1943. I'm not going to get too far into that. Let's just deal with that part of it right now. So, yeah, Hollywood is very much involved in witchcraft, Satanism, and a lot of things concerning a thing called synchronicity. In fact, there was a singer named Sting that belonged to a group called the Police. They had an album, pretty much, with a song entitled Synchronicity. This is back when Michael Jackson and Sting were the biggest artists back in 1983 and 84. Those Sting put out an album, right? And one of the songs there, of course, was Synchronicity on that album. This is why he was chosen as one of the actors to play in Doom. Right? Doom talks about the Illuminati bloodline, right, in the different houses. Right? These different houses, right, are chronicled even in Fritz Springmeier's book, Bloodlines of the Illuminati. So this is, I'm telling you, Hollywood knows this information, and they put them out in the form of films. Remember, these people take things, right, and base their stories on the hierarchy that's in place. Incidentally, they call them the hierarchy. Those who are the sacred rulers of this planet. This is what they call them. I'm just telling you what they call them. You know, people who don't believe it, do your research. You'll find just what I found out that this is true.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not even anything. You just have to research it. And when you find out, yes, we are being run by people that are involved in the occult and hidden mysticism. And it's been going on for ages. And it's hard to tell people because they're like, yeah, you're great. You gotta be nuts. Can't really be telling me that they've been running things by specific bloodline. Well, I read the Rosicrucians records. I have old books, and the books I have go back to the 1800s, some the early part of the 1900s, and they say the same thing. The only way you rule, right, is through your blood. They choose you through leadership, right, through your blood, right, and they pass down records through bloodline to rule the planet. Now, this is what H. Spencer Lewis said, who was in the ancient mystical of the Rosy Cross. There's others that say it too. I can give you a whole lot of different authors, right, that say the same thing. They rule by secrecy, and they rule by bloodlines. If they don't, just go back to the TV show Saved by the Bell. Look at Judith Light, who is Jewish in real life, right, Judith, and you see the name Angela Bauer, and Bauer is one of the names of the Rothschilds, and they're Jewish. Whether they go by the name Rothschild, Rothschild, or Elchanan, or Bauer. It's a fact. Fact. They play with people like that. And that's how they do it. So you won't believe them. You'll say, oh, that's great. That came up by the hair and Saved by the Bell in the 80s. You see?
You remember Dr. York used to always say that. He used to be like, hey, they bringing out all these damn movies just to make you think that I'm crazy.
Yeah, and they will, because look, they got people that run the industry, right, involved in the different groups that are really involved in what we would call witchcraft today. And the thing is, they put out these movies, right, and they have a dual message a lot of times. One, right, is to bring people further under their spell, right, and to captivate the masses, right, through mysticism. But they have another agenda as well, to make you look crazy if you try to say, oh, well, this is real. This is just a movie. This is fictitious. You got that off of Dynasty. You got that off of Dallas. But if you look at those two shows too, Robert and Esther Shapiro, who put out Dynasty, right, look closely at it, and they show you some of the bloodlines that were running as oil moguls in this country back in the 80s. That's connected to Neil Bush and the Bush family of the SNL, the Savings and Loan scandal, right? The other half was in Dallas, representing Dallas, Texas. And Texas, right, whether you want to say Houston or Austin, is the Bushes, right? That's running the oil out of Texas through George H.W. Bush. You see? You see how they do it? The only thing is George H.W. Bush, right, after he hooked up with people like James Baker, right, in the Houston Society, these people came overseas, like George Bush, went to establish a place called Zapata offshore in the early 1950s. And that's where the Kuwaiti oil comes in, and why the situation happened with Saddam Hussein when he invaded Kuwait. The U.S. told him basically, get the hell out of there or we'll kill you. So if you want to research that, if you don't believe me, the other guy on the phone can look up a man called Russell Bowen to get that information in a book called The Immaculate Deception.
Facts. Yep.
Fact. I hate to tell people this, but it's a fact, and there's a lot of information that can prove it. And these people were working with the Central Intelligence Agency, right, who pretty much can verify this information. So remember, Bush Sr. was the DDC, or the director of the CIA, back in 1976. He's the man that walked into the White House when Jimmy Carter was elected as president and told him, leave the extraterrestrial and the UFO thing alone. Walked right in the White House and the Oval Office and told Jimmy Carter to not open up Project Blue Book, to leave it alone. Why did George H.W. Bush do that? Because it's the same thing that was revealed back in 1974 on a man who worked in the CIA named Victor Marchetti, who said that the code of intelligence is connected to UFOs and extraterrestrials, right? And the CIA was some of the people involved in it. Along the NSA too. Later you'll find out, but the CIA was connected as the code of intelligence. And this is something going back to the Robertson panel. It stressed that the information was locked on the UFO and their agenda in this country, right? So this is why it was revealed as to the UFOs and the conspiracy to come up involving the Central Intelligence Agency. So now you see that is why George Bush went in and told Jimmy Carter, leave it alone. Let's not get into that. Facts, research, right out the truth. Yep, they know.
Mm-hmm.
They know. All you have to do is just study some of these people and on the inside, and it'll come out. Everything I'm saying is basically based on a lot of facts and research that I pulled up myself. And it shocked me, because I've been researching that. I'm not even that old, but I've researched since I was a child. And I've been researching over the last 26 years. And I re-researched the research. I found out we're being lied to. We are being lied to.
Yep.
This is
Definitely, like, also, like, put them on about, like, the whole, all right, now, I was trying to explain to him the whole fact of when you see all of these black rappers, black actors dating white women, like how Kanye West goes out with Kim Kardashian, you know, she's Lebanese, you know, that we could chop that down and break it down and talk about Labana, you know what I mean?
Oh, you're talking about the Armenians.
Was she Armenian or Lebanese? Where's she from?
She's Armenian. Rob Kardashian, her father, was one of OJ flunkies, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rob Kardashian used to
break it down.
He had money and stuff, but the Kardashians are Armenian. Yeah. Yeah. And incidentally, that's another name of an alien race on Star Trek, too, the Kardashians.
Yeah, break that down real quick.
Yeah. I'm not going to get too far into that. These are not the people from the Taklamakan Basin that I talked about earlier. This is something different, like another extraterrestrial, not linked to the so-called white man. But the Kardashians, you will find out that going back to Rob Kardashian, these are the people pretty much tied to Moses of Corinth. Moses of Corinth is the Moses of the so-called white man in Europe. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's where you get the story like it, right, of these people, the people of Armagnac, right? And Armagnac, right, are where the Armenians come in at. And this is their story of Moses. Not the Moses in the Bible, but Moses of Corinth, right? That is pretty much the bloodline of the Kardashians, right? So they have their own Moses. The history of Armagnac. Research. Fact. All you have to do is get a book by a man named Paul Lawrence Guthrie, Making of the White Man. Get that book. Tell brothers to get that book, right? And you'll find out who the real Edomite or Edomian or the sons of Esau or the Canaanite or Yephthite, whatever name you call them, Makasu, you'll find it in that heritage. This man supported a lot of teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but he did his own independent research. And believe me, white man don't want you to get that book. Get that book. Yeah, but the Kardashian family, the reason why they have the connections they have today is because these are the people that leached off of O.J. Simpson. You see? Through their father who passed away years ago, Rob Kardashian. Bruce Jenner is just the other father.
Wait, the father's name was Rob. The father's name was Rob also.
Yeah. Kim Kardashian's father's name was Rob Kardashian.
And it's crazy how the family ended up robbing O.J.
Well,
We're going.
Let me tell you what it is. Yeah, I mean, look at it this way. Now, there are rumors. I don't believe the rumor that Kim Kardashian's father was actually O.J. Simpson and the mother used to sleep with him. I don't know about that. I'm not going to get to that. I think that cannot be confirmed at this point in time. But the fact is, they are pretty much connected. They are pretty much connected to what happened with O.J. Simpson. What happened was March of 1994, there was a movie called the Charlie Sheen starred in. It's called The Chase. That actually happened several months before the June 1994 high-speed chase in a white Bronco. The only difference was the cut hand that Charlie Sheen had in the film was the same cut hand of O.J. Simpson later on, right? That they talked about the O.J. Simpson trial in 1995. So if you look at that film called The Chase, starring Charlie Sheen, you know, that's Amelia Estevez's brother and Martin Sheen's son. They actually showed The Chase live on TV and on camera in March of that year, right, several months before the June chase and the white Bronco involving O.J. Simpson. And if you check it out, Charlie Sheen and Kato Kaelin are good friends.
Wait, are you talking about that movie when Charlie Sheen jumped in the whip and hijacked some woman in the car?
Yep.
Ah.
Remember that he had the cut on his hand, and they had this DNA evidence, right, of his hand being cut, and they were connecting it to him being involved in this crime.
Yep.
And he was going to prison. That's the whole O.J. Simpson chase was based on that movie. Several months before it took place. Look at it, check it out. Don't believe me. Hollywood already planned it. I'm telling you, people involved in witchcraft. I told you it's 4 major orders that come out of Hollywood, right, and the people connected with it. They're called the Sisters of Light, the Brotherhood, the Illuminati, and the Druids. It's 4 orders. Check it out. Right? This is where they can put out films, right? And they can set up and bring people like O.J. There are people like Kato Kaelin, right, who are on the inside anyway. It was Kato Kaelin that was giving information to the police. That's what was telling them. That's how O.J. got arrested. Kato Kaelin's a good friend of Charlie Sheen, the guy who was in the film The Chase, right, that actually set the criterion for that chase that you saw in June of that year after the film came out in March. Don't believe me, check it out.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll tell you guys the lie, man. I'm telling you. They set this up. It's a setup. A lot of people don't know it. Just get the film, The Chase, and tell the brother to go ahead and check out June of that year, several months after that, and look at it. And you see, though it's like the same vehicle, it's still based on the same principle. A high-speed chase involving police in Southern California. Of a guy with a cut on his hand, and they pretty much wanted to bury this guy and put him away.
Damn.
Yep. Yeah. There's a whole lot of other movies too. I don't want to go too much into it, but if the brother does not, that's not enough information. Just continue to research. Dig a little deeper, you'll find out. Yes, they are involved. There is an Illuminati. They do exist, and they put out a lot of the movies and show you who they are and what they're up to. Just look closely and check out some of the names. It's there, and they do it in our face because they're like, "You're not gonna do that to us." They really look at you like, "What can you do?" These are people that believe their ancestors go back to a planet that was shattered by Hercules on the Nibiru or Planet X, whatever they call this thing, the Elanine comet or whatever. They believe that they another planet and another solar system, other star systems. They believe this stuff. I'm not gonna get into that. I'm just saying this is what these people believe. They don't even believe in this world. And they claim that their ancestry is more so linked to Mars and the Moon. And if you research it, I tell you, it's a very strong connection. They have a very strong connection to the Moon and Mars. And this is why they traveled there in 2008. And I say that I'm not going as far as, all the stuff you see on the internet. They show you pictures of people already there.
Yeah.
I can't confirm. You know what I'm saying? But I know that they have a Mars mission in 2018. Yeah. No, I don't know.
He said.
I know what.
He said, "Okay, how can you prove the etheric realm?" That's the message he sent. He said,
"It's hard to prove in the etheric realm, right? But you can go by what the scientists know, like the Rosicrucians, who even study science. There's a secret society, and they'll tell you about ether. You see what I'm saying? They'll tell you about alcohol being ether, right? And ethane, like as a group called the Ethereal Society, they know about things based on ether, right? You have light ether, electric ether, water ether. They have different ethers and stuff. So, okay, the spiritual presence, I can't prove it, but tell the brothers to look up electric voice phenomenon, EVP. Look that up. Yeah, check that out. And check out a lot of information they have on Curlian photography. Check out that, and go back to another program called Magnetic Anomaly Detection. That's how they started working with the Philadelphia experiment. And we left the 1930s going into the 1940s in World War II. Right? And they took the actual computer, right, to calculate what took place on August 12, 1943. But after that, by 1947, it was IBM that had the computer that was about the size of a room. Yeah. I guess you go with that later. That's something else totally different. So research that. But if you want to find out about ether, right, you have to study one group called the Ethereus movement, right? Some of these people have the information behind it. Electronic voice phenomenon, right? And there's some other things I can use. There's a lot of stuff, and magnetic anomaly detection.
He said, okay, what's the difference? Yeah, okay, I'm reading the question now. He said, what's the difference between 9-ether and 6-ether?
Okay, this can be very easily answered, right? Now, when you go into the hair follicle, our hair, this 9-ether, like it comes out of the root and it looks like a 9 when it turns. Right? It goes in the opposite, looks like a 6, but you have to go into the follicles of the hair where you find the keratin eye cells. Someone look this up. Keratin eye. Keratin. And those hair follicles are called keratin eye cells. That's where the melanin is at, right? And it's a thing called melanocytes. Like MELANOCYTES, melanocyte. Check that out. That's how you find that information on the hair being 6 and as being 9, right? Another thing too that you can find out. Tell the brother you got a cake cutter, right? A cake cutter, like it right here, they some type of iron or metal coal. If you have an afro, rake the afro, right, and put it to a piece of paper. Watch the paper like attach itself right to that metal cake cutter, right? That's how you know that your hair pretty much is magnetic. A black person can do it very easily, much easier than a white person. That piece of paper, they'll jump right up, right onto that iron cake cutter. We call it a cake cutter, but it's a comb that's like iron. It's a metal comb. Rake it through your head, put it to a piece of paper, watch it jump up right onto that iron comb.
Right.
Check it out.
He said, okay, well, he said that he read a book by Dr. York. And he said that it's called Image of the Beast. And he stated that it talks about how the white man or the Caucasian has fur. He doesn't have hair.
Yeah.
So he wants to know about that. And he says also, how the hell did, that's exactly what he put, how the hell did the European white man become a beast man? Is he really mixed with animal DNA? Something like, yeah.
All right, check this out right here. Tell the brother to do this. This is a very good question. Tell him to look up a lycanthrope, right? There's a thing called lycanthrope. Some call it lycanthropy, right? This is what you call Hirschwaldism or the wolf gene. Now you have the De Jesus or the Gomez family, right? This is a Mexican family. But these people have also been interbred with whites, right? What they find out is you do a thing called gene mapping. Look into the mother's DNA, right? Do gene mapping, and they find out the disease called Hirschwaldism is involved, right? These are children that also exist in Sri Lanka, out of India. That gene comes out of India. Tell them to look it up. It's in a place called Sri Lanka, an island off the coast of India. That's where you find a lot of that gene. This is the same Dravidian gene through the Y male chromosome of the male, though. Even though they map it through the female or the mother's gene as far as the mitochondrial DNA. Remember, when they came in, they want to fuse themselves with the mitochondrial DNA, right, to get that disorder, but it's called Hirschwaldism. Yes, it does exist. Some of them have tails when they're born, and they have fur all over their face. One is called the Gomez and the De Jesus family in Mexico, but other ones are in Sri Lanka and parts of India, right? And this is a literal disorder called Hirschwaldism. It exists. So get on the internet, you'll look it up and you'll find it. It's there. So no, Dr. York isn't crazy. It's true. I got pictures of it. I got it right here with me. Now, if you want to get the Holy Tablet, you can get that. If you want to get other books that was put out by the Supreme Grand Master, you can go and do that too. Right? But yes, it exists. He's not the only one to chronicle that information. This information has been circulating, I know, for a long time. I've seen this on TV shows of the 90s. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So yes, this connection to the dog, what they call it is Hirschwaldism, Hirschwaldism. Right? That's where you get it from. And yes, it does exist. And this is the whole story that you see about Sigmund the Volsung, the movie Wolf starred, what's what's the guy's name? Played the Joker, right? Batman.
You talking about the guy that died?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Like the guy that played the Joker on Batman, right? He actually started Wolf. That's where they got these movies and stuff from, right? People who transformed during the moon, right? During the lunar cycle, right? Or during the full moon. Jack Nicholson. There you go. So yeah, it's true. I got pictures of them, but they do it through gene mapping, and they go to the mother's gene because that's something that was they can trace it through the mitochondrial DNA of the mother, right? And they gene map and they found it in the genes, right, of certain families. It exists, but mysteriously, it is highly connected to India and Sri Lanka. Highly. Yes, it does. And to the white man. Remember, India is nothing but Indo-Aryan people. Research it. It's that. And they even tell you about the stories of Prince Bhima, right, who had a spiritual master called Hanuman, right, who had he looked like a monkey to them, right? It had monkey features and a monkey face. So India is full of these stories because this is the Dravidian, right, who pretty much mutated through the Y male chromosome, but they gene map it through the mother, right? The actual Hertzsville gene. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. All right, so that Dravidian that we're talking about, are we talking about those Aboriginals, which actually means not original? Are we talking about those Aborigines?
Yeah, they look similar to them. In fact, when they tried to find some of the oldest people on the planet, they tried to go to Australia and India and they couldn't find them, right? But they went to the Y male chromosome, right, and found out, right, really that that's where the white man came from. You see, even though the original people came out of the Eastern Cape or the Eastern Horn of Africa going down to Southern Africa, right, over 200,000 years ago, right, the mitochondrial DNA that they had found when they linked it to the actual mitochondrial DNA, these are the Twa people, or the San people, the Khoisan, right? So everyone, yes, they did come out of Africa as far as the genetics is found out, but the Aboriginal people, they did look similar to the Australians, right? These are Dravidians, right, and had similar hair, right? They'd be like 8 ether, 7 ether hair. Yeah. But all Dravidians don't have 7 ether hair. Some of them have 8 ether and some of them have 9. Due to them like that, right, really being a part of a stock that's connected to the Nile Valley, right, that has some of the same ancestry, right, as the people of the Harappan culture. You see what I'm saying? And those Dravidians, right, who were at war with the white man at one time. Right?
Now, all right, now, remember the movie I used to tell you about, what the hell is the name of it? Howlin'. Remember the movie I used to tell you about, Howlin'?
Oh, Howlin', yeah, the Howlin' 2, yeah.
All right, now, Howlin' 1 and Howlin' 2, go check that out. But in Howlin' 3, Marsupial Werewolf